Hi YouTube, welcome. Cage Knight invited me to the podcast with Jim, Gabri and G9. We had talk about many aspects of the game, but one of them was multiplayer. Statement as Elden Ring multiplayer fucking sucks is not a secret at all, but the question is why. So we had a short session of GTOing about that exact topic.
I think one thing that's like that is really killing Elden Ring's activity is truly the throw calling finger. That thing should not exist.
That's a good call, by the way. The fact
that should not. Let me explain to you why. So I'm sure you guys know, but I just want to people are watching. So the idea of throw calling finger becomes a double opt-in system. You're not opt-in one time. You twice opt-inning. You can a casual who doesn't know how about PvP, multiplayer, and everything like that. They could literally go through the game with never seen anything related to multiplayer, player interaction, right? That's how how bad it is. Whereas
So
previously
true.
you can never go online and not get invaded, not get any interaction, not see a sign, like imagine I'm a new player, I'm just putting myself in a casual mindset, right? I'm playing Elden Ring, a pro calling finger didn't exist, right? I walk up, oh, I see somebody's sign. I think, if I see some sign, I'm so curious what's going on. What is that? I click on it, and then the player comes in. Like, these matter. These matter with activity.
Yeah, that's so true.
I sometimes do hosting videos when I am done with a absolute garbage activity in the multiplayer. I'm starting hosting and just inviting decent players to do some 2v2s and so on. Every single video of this type, I have at least few comments out of more casual type of crowd that is asking, oh, you can have two invaders in your world? How did you do that? People don't know.
Not wrong.
Yeah, this is actually this is legitimately a thing. People have no idea you can literally have this fucking counter-stomp enabled besides the first finger. The fact you have to opt in with two items is fucking ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah. It might sound silly. Oh, you have to just click two buttons. No, that matters when it comes to activity, right? And then what I would recommend doing from that aspect, you can't just remove an item from the game, right? What I would recommend is, how you have the blue summons, auto summons, how it works, where you turn on and it's on all the time or off all the time until you turn it off. I would recommend just making it like that, where by default it's on, and then you use the item if you don't want it to turn it off. Does that make sense? And then when you restart, no, it's currently right now.
You consume it, but aside from that, it's basically the same, no?
No, it's basically by default. I'm saying, by default, it's you're solo invadable. You see all the signs, you see all of that stuff, right? That's by default, is what I'm saying. And then you use the item to turn it off.
Oh, okay. So you.
And then when you restart the game, it goes back to the default, which is it's always on. Does that make sense? So
that's going to be annoying for people who legitimately do not want the PvP, though. That's a bit forcing it upon them.
No, but that. Okay, the option is to just click an item and then that's it. Move on. How
But
it's more annoying.
Turn it on.
I would say that feature already exists, being play online, play offline. Launch function is already a thing in the main menu when you turn on the game before you even have to mess around with calling remedy. I think that the moment you click online from the very get-go, you are sort of adhering to almost like the game's social contract that
my messages in my bloodstains.
Yeah, the messages and the bloodstains, right? But to a certain extent, right?
I want my spoilers.
Yeah, exactly. They're adhering to co-op invasions and whatever the game entails.
Oh, you are jumping to Limgrave, and the first message you see, Fortnite. This is what I need in my life to improve my experience, dude.
You know what? Jim hit it on the nail there. We're trying to get ways around the system, but if you really think about it from the ground up, why is this even necessary to talk about? If you already clicked multiplayer, that's it. Multiplayer.
You're in it.
Yeah. The only thing that legitimately annoys me in Souls game is that we have that fucking bazillion different items for different fucking reasons and so on. Honestly, having like something like in the seamless co-op, we have that item called Judicator's Rulebook, yeah, and it's essentially a thing that allows you to set the rules of the world, yeah, if everyone is friendly, if only certain like players are friendly, if like everyone is enemy to each other and so on, yeah. I think that would be so much fucking better system to have like a one multiplayer item that is essentially just responsible for setting up your world rather than, you know, having like a few different items. The one is that is enabling the blues, another one that is allowing you to your teammate to connect, another one that allows you to invaders to connect to your world, or like, you know, one invader to connect to you. Like all these things, like this is like billions of different items that just like are more confusing than helpful in any way, shape, or form.
I do have an issue with like one seamless co-op, like you mentioned it. It's actually, I'm scared about something. It's so popular, right? To the point where I'm worried it gives the wrong impression from software about like how should they go about, you know, doing the PvP, and what that would be like making it even more limited than now, because seamless co-op you require a password just to play with people, right? Like you need to have a password. So imagine making password invasion, that would kill the game even more, right? So I'm just worried about how like the whole seamless co-op talk, you know, praising it too much, because I don't want them to give the wrong impression and
No,
think like that's
I
what we
don't
are.
think they, you know.
Well, Seamless does things way better though.
Yeah.
The base game.
No, in some departments, but the aspect of the password just only co-op, I do not like. You don't want that for the entire game. You get what I'm saying? Like,
I think the biggest reason people play Seamless is to just be able to seamlessly, as the name suggests, just play through the entire game without having the hassle
co-op.
of resummoning every time.
Yeah, co-op.
Yeah,
seamlessly.
I really don't think, you know, like the aspect of you being separated from everyone else, yeah, and like not having to bother for the invaders. Of course, this is argument to some people. I am sure about that. But the main argument is just because like co-op fucking works, unlike in the actual game.
Yeah, but I'm saying if it worked like that for the entire game, that's not a good thing to have for activity. It's gonna make it even worse. Like you're not gonna be able to, like, how are you gonna invade people if you're locked? If you can, you know what I mean? If they have a password, you can't invade them. Do you get what
No,
I'm saying?
we're not talking about the
Yeah, yeah,
password.
yeah.
That-
talking
I would
about.
imagine if invasions exist in that structure, you make it to where
Yeah.
passwords don't affect who can come into your world and invade you, like that.
Yeah.
But what I was going to hit you with, Gabri, was earlier we talked about how invasions aren't in many other Souls. Like that's true, but I also made like a short list of other games that like were first-person shooters or open-world third-person, and they were also had invasions like Watch Dogs, like Deathloop, like Dying Light, and these are games where where the home team, you can call them, with the host and cooperators, could be a bunch of randoms or people who are only friends all the time. Like in Sniper Elite 5, you could just be with a friend and play through the entirety of that game, but consistently throughout that game, you have invaders constantly show up in there. They can be random, and it was more of a recent feature through Sniper Elite 5, like a recent update where they made it to where, oh, now you can put in a code, and to where if you want to be a friend and invade friends, you can do that. Watch Dogs originally had it to where you can invade people specifically on your friends list and go out of your way to do that. I think what we're all trying to like, the nail we're trying to hit on the head is that there are better implementations of co-op out there that could still maintain the structure of random invasions and still maintain the structure of random cooperation. And it's just down to From Software to be able to implement seamlessly all of the above if it's in their power to do so. Like I'm still curious of like how the co-op / PvP structure might look like for Armored Core 6, for instance, and their Armored Core games, for instance, because I was made aware that there was like co-op PvE in some of the older games, just as much as there were like 3v3s and 4v4s in those older games. And now I'm curious of like, oh, is it possible to retain a random summon system in Elden Ring and still give the people who want to play from like round table hold back
Yes.
to the open world and down below and still get invaded by random people? Is it still
It's
possible?
possible.
to do? Yeah.
It's possible
The
to do.
Fallen, I think, is actually doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
We're
yeah,
fine.
and we're seeing that. Yes.
You know, it's possible to do. The only reason I mentioned seamless in a bad light is just the fact its selling point. The whole mod was you play co-op without interruption. That's why a lot of people downloaded that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want that to be seen to be this is what people want. You know, just separate it even more. But I'm with you in terms of co-oping. Having it where you seamlessly go from the beginning. I want to do that kind of co-oping, right? Where I can play from the beginning towards the end, and it's like dried finger runs on steroid, right? And then you get invaded randomly throughout the way. This guy follows you to the boss fight, and you both fight, and then you kill the boss, and everybody goes home. It's like a checkpoint kind of thing. There's a lot of ways you can make it good, but as long as it doesn't affect invasions being random, that's very important to stay. Because
Yeah.
otherwise that would kill the activity.
Hello, gamer. Memories broken. System goes unspoken.